Okay. Yeah. Great.
Hey, Alice, can you hear me?
I sure can, Maria. Like your arrangement of your background. Looks nice in your office. I like your background. Looks nice with your ficus tree.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice.
Thank you.
Happy Friday.
I know. Can you believe it? First
I know.
day in August.
It's hard. That's the hard to believe part.
Good morning.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Sure
Yeah.
can. Good morning, Jen.
Hi. Oh. I just pulled the volume button off of my speaker.
Uh-oh.
She's ready to attack Friday morning.
I had a sad moment yesterday.
Uh-oh.
My sister turned 50.
Oh, wow.
My baby sister turned 50. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
That goes so fast.
It does.
My baby sister.
Yeah. Yeah, my middle sister turned 49 while we were in Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was she with you?
Oh, yeah. The whole
Nice.
gang was with us, so we had a good time celebrating.
That's good. That's good. All family. That's where we had a little party for Michaela when she was out from Arizona. So
Nice.
yeah. I got a yummy cake from got a yummy cake. We went out to dinner, so that was nice.
That is nice. Best part is you don't have to clean up, you don't have to prepare anything, you just show up, right?
Just show up with the cake and the balloon. Woo-hoo!
There you go.
Mm-hmm. So we all got those TIAA CREF things in the mail.
Okay.
Have you gotten one of those? Maybe you don't get one because you got the pension plan thing.
Yeah, but I do have the TIA craft. I contribute additionally to that.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
So we got something in the mail at home in
Okay.
the last couple of days. So
All right. I hadn't seen it yet. Yeah.
haven't seen it yet.
You get
No.
fast mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
She's in the western part of the county in Maryland.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Dan said he got his yesterday too, so.
Oh, good.
It's 9 o'clock.
Yay. I'm not sure how that. Who spoke that? It's a different voice.
Oh, is that like the meeting manager?
I don't know. That's a new sound. All the years I've been working with Zoom. Of course, they're always doing those new updates.
Hi, it's Carrie Richard.
Hey, Carrie.
Dr. Rogers just walked someone upstairs. She'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll get started, she said.
Okay.
So just wanted to let you know.
That's great. And while we're all connecting and making sure our sound works, we'll be ready to rock and roll when she gets settled here. Ms. Tracy, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Long time no see, so it's nice to see you.
You're not driving, are you, Tracy?
No, I'm actually
good.
sitting in my vehicle. So
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's a nice day to be outside in your vehicle doing one of these.
Yeah. Well, I actually just stopped to drop something off for a Master Gardener program, and now I'm headed to the office. So I'm just going to listen in.
That works. That works.
Okay, anybody got any good zucchini recipes? Because, oh my gosh.
My
Hey, I got a zucchini crab cake from one of my volunteers. It's awesome.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's crabless.
It's crabless.
it's
Those are
crabless?
really good. Yeah.
So it's just zucchini and
Mhm.
yummy
Obey
stuff?
and all that stuff. It's really good.
Oh gosh, send it along.
Will do.
Thank you.
Do you grill them?
I can't figure out.
Maria, do you grill them
I have, yes.
with little olive oil and celery salt?
Yeah, that sounds good. I've done it with like olive oil and lemon, you know, the Greek style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we make eggplant salad, and I make chili. Like I make a vegetarian chili with eggplant and zucchini and stuff like that. That's really yummy too. So
Ooh, that sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, we gotta stop talking about food this early in the morning. I'll be hungry by 10.
okay, yeah,
We're ready for lunch then. Crabless crab cake, yuck, from Doug.
You guys can just stop talking about food. You're making me hungry.
Yeah.
There was a recipe on Facebook for blueberry zucchini muffins. I'll see if I can find it and send it to Alice.
okay.
There we go.
Yeah, any way to hide the zucchini, right?
Yeah.
Or use up the massive quantities, I think.
Yeah.
But I did have a really good relish made with zucchini. It was pickled relish like you'd use on your hamburger hot dogs instead of the traditional cucumber. And it was very tasty.
I bet that's good. You probably can't even tell the difference.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
I had one so big once, I gave it to the neighbor, who in turn, her daughter put her Mr. Potato Head lips, nose, and eyes on it, dressed it up, and put it in her baby stroller.
Oh my gosh.
That's really funny.
Oh, Lord.
That is funny.
There's got to be a contest for that somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be at the state fair next to Tina the Tiny Woman.
There you go. Doug, hey Val, Doug wants to know where you come up with these stories.
My very pathetic life.
I was going to say he needs to get out more.
Yeah.
Hey, Val, tell him about the picture I sent you yesterday.
Oh my God. That has to go in some extension publication. Tracy's in a van full of Dot's old animals, and she's got the owl like seat belted in the front seat.
Oh my gosh.
It was quite amazing, or amusing, huh?
Amusing.
Oh my God, I just burst out.
I think I titled it "My Driving Partner."
There you go.
It was
Oh
fun.
my.
That's cute.
Tracy, Val and I, this is Carrie. Val and I met yesterday and had a good conversation. I'm excited to, looking forward to do Master Gardener training, and I'm coming down at least for the afternoon session on the 15th for the Horde Expo.
Oh, awesome! Great. Yeah, because I'd love to compare notes with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I will try. Did you get a copy of the Master Gardener manual that Nancy and her crew did?
I'm not sure if I have that or not. Does Val have it?
Yeah, Tracy, I think you got one. It's like 2 inches thick, hardbound.
I'm not sure. I know I have Maryland's. I'm not sure if I have pens or
You'd
not.
remember if you had Pennsylvania's.
Yeah, it's like a college book. It's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no, I'd love to, have a copy of it.
I will make myself a note to bring you a copy when I come down.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
The Queen is back. I will succeed the throne to her. Thanks, Carrie.
We'll move this out here.
That's okay. No worries.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm happy to have you on board. And I was upstairs. It's real exciting. We have our first candidate in for the position of our health faculty position as an instructor. This is a pilot position, and our first candidate is in today, and I was just taking her to meet with a number of our staff who are in that meeting, and meeting with her, and we have 2 more candidates next week, and I hope that you'll participate. We are recording the Zoom presentations of the candidates, and you will have opportunity to provide input. So just want to make you aware that we sent that information out in last week's Directors Weekly, and hopefully you can participate as you're interested and or able to do that. So very excited to get that position in place and moving forward. I have a couple organizational items to mention before we move into our program. And I can just say that there's a couple things that I put in Directors Weekly but a couple weeks ago, but are important to mention. I want to be clear that we have communicated about it. One of those things is around the conflict of interest. Not to be confused with the conflict of interest statement that we all do in relationship to grants and contracts. We all have a conflict of information form that we sign when we do grants and contracts, and we have to renew that. I believe it's about every 3 years. And you get prompted from the Grants and Contracts Office to do that if you don't have that up to date, or if you haven't done it and it needs to be done, and that's part of that process. But as part of our HR process, there is a conflict of interest statement that's not as well known, and there is a form for this in the web forms under Human Resources, University Human Resources. And this has been, we've been asked to bring this to everyone's attention to make sure that we're aware of it. And this is particularly important for us in Extension, where we may have a family member that's coming to work in Cooperative Extension and maybe doing something else as a student. Many of us have had our children come and work in Cooperative Extension. We want to introduce them to our organization and opportunities, whether that's working out in a demonstration plot, or whether it's doing some mailing and work in the office, or any ways that we're having family members who are involved in the work that we do. And so it's important, if that's the case, that you complete a conflict of interest form on that. And I myself had this confused with the conflict of interest form I already filled out for grants and contracts, but this is a separate form, and you do need to go in and fill it out. And the key of it is not so much the form, but the key information that we need to emphasize here and make sure that we are legitimate on is that you cannot be the supervisor of someone who's in your family. It just makes sense, and that's the key. So that means somebody else in the organization has to be doing that and providing that leadership and that feedback and setting the wage and those kinds of things. So I just know that we do some of this on occasion as it comes up. We can do it. This doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we need to have this conflict of interest on file, and that we also need to make sure that we're not in a supervisory role of that individual. So please help us all stay on the right side of the law on that, and complete that form. And the second organizational thing that's come about recently is the factor of submitting time for sick leave and also vacation time. And I know that many of you are doing this, and I approve of those forms, and they come back to your county director for approval. And we have been doing that very much in Newcastle and in Kent counties. Sussex has been doing a shadow program, and it's really critical now, and I think you've been informed of this, but just to remind you that I haven't been seeing the forms, and Sussex needs to come on board with doing those sick leave again through the HR website where those forms are. It's simply a matter of putting in your days and going on record with your sick days and vacation days and having that in the system. And that is there, and there's monitoring of that. And if you have questions about what goes in there, we can get some answers to that and some help to you from HR. But I need those of you that are in Sussex County to come on board with that and to be a part of that system as we move forward. It will come. It's an easy approval process, and it doesn't mean you have to worry about doing this. It's just that we need to come on board with that system in terms of how we're tracking things, and that everybody needs to be in that same system. So if you have any questions about that, see me, and we'll direct you to the right people to talk to about making that happen. And I'm sure your office managers in the offices can help you with that. The third organizational development piece that I have this morning before we move into Carrie is that I want to share with you a change that is part of my leadership role, and that is that, as many of you know, I have been working with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and Cooperative Extension nationally to pursue developing the strategic framework for health and wellness for cooperative extension nationally, and then seeking funding to support that national model that we could move into increasing the health of Americans across the country through cooperative extension as a programmatic system-wide effort. While it's not publicly announced yet, we did receive word last week that cooperative extension has been funded by Robert Wood Johnson as a national partner, and will be funded for the proposal that we have put forward, and be a part of that. I have been selected to serve as the program leader for that program nationally as a part of this first round of funding from Robert Wood Johnson. It's an 18-month commitment that I'm making for 50% of my time. So I will be moving into this role for 50% of my time, and I have the blessing of the dean and the provost to do that work. So I'm still very committed to Delaware, and very much here, and very much the director in those the other 50% of that. And we are planning to put in place an associate director role here at UD, who will help support that other 50% time of the director's role. And so I'm announcing that today and sharing that information with you. The associate director role, I've gone through my work plan and the things that goals that I have. The same as you write your annual plan, I write my annual plan for the dean, and that's what I'm reviewed on. I'll be sharing that whole plan with the leadership team when we meet next. But there are portions of that plan that I've identified that an associate director would have. I'm going to maintain responsibility for our finances and budgeting, contracts, planning, for our work with staffing, and our program, overall program leadership piece with that, and the stakeholder relationships. But in the associate director role, we're going to build this as what the dean and I call a leadership development opportunity. One of the things he and I have been committed to is having some of our staff who attend some of these professional development opportunities, Lead 21, the Food Systems Leadership Institute. But we really see this as an opportunity to gain some additional experience in leadership in cooperative extension through this role. And if leadership in the organization is something that you've thought about or aspiring to, this may be an opportunity, something that you'd want to consider. The associate director role is going to take on some routine responsibilities of the director role, the director's weekly, the First Friday events, such as what we're doing here, and keeping up to date on that, and then some particular responsibilities that are around work that we have that's ongoing, supporting the cost recovery team with that, and the work that they're doing. Some of the work that I've been doing with Lead Delaware will be transitioned to this role, supporting the work that we're doing with impact reporting and making sure that that happens in conjunction with the communications team. Moving forward on our affirmative action efforts are a part of that. Working at some of the strategic initiatives we have in our plan around what we're doing in urban areas and moving some of those ideas forward, and those types of things. I've outlined some of those specific responsibilities in this week's Directors Weekly, so you'd have them in writing and could know more fully what some of those opportunities are. And of course, as we get into this, just the opportunity to flesh this out more fully, depending on how this work goes in this transition. So I want to state again, this is a contract. It's an 18-month grant that I'm working on, and it's that commitment of time. At this point in time, I'm not leaving Delaware. Probably do most of this from Delaware, and still very much committed to all of us. And I hope that this could be an opportunity for all of us to grow in leadership, and just be another opportunity for Delaware to really shine. the position that we're interviewing for today, the faculty member that is now meeting with some of our staff, would be providing leadership to the Robert Wood Johnson effort here in Delaware. So we're also getting leadership for that in place as well. So I just want to pause for a moment and see if there's any questions. I know that we have maybe half of our staff on board. I just want to, with that announcement, I'll reiterate it in Directors Weekly. I want to say one more thing about that is that this is moving very quickly, and we're trying to move things forward very quickly as my role and responsibilities would go into effect in September. So I'm trying to put things in place and the support role very quickly. And if you have interest in this, or even think you might have, or just want to explore whether you might have interest in doing this associate director role, I'd ask you to call me or email me before next Thursday. I'm leaving on vacation next weekend, and I'll continue to have these conversations while I'm on vacation, but if you think you might be interested, I'd like to talk to you before next Thursday, and so that I can begin continuing the work on that and putting some things in place at that time that we can do that. If we do not have internal interest, then we will seek some expertise outside and some opportunities of where we might look outside. But first and foremost, we're going to look inside and see what might be here in terms of folks of interest in this position. So I'll just pause now for a moment. Are there any questions? Please just open up your mic or put them in the chat box, and we'll try and respond to that. I know it's easiest often to do this just verbally. Any questions or comments?
So is the associate director position then also an 18-month appointment, and that at the end of 18 months that would kind of go away? Yes, that's the plan at this point in time. Obviously, what I haven't said is this grant, obviously we hope to have funded part of the job. My job with Robert Wood Johnson is to have continuation of this funding. We hope for a 10-year funding piece of that. I'm not sure of my interest in what I will be doing after the 18 months with that. My plan at this point is that I come back full-time to this role, and so that's the plan at that point. I think there'll be some options to consider, and we'll see how that goes. But for now, that is the plan, that we're at 18 months and that I come back full-time at the end of 18 months. Other questions? Well, certainly you know where to reach me, and I'd like to be reached. I'd like to talk to you. I hope there'll be interest, and I hope that we have some who will consider this as an opportunity, and I look forward to discussing that with you. You know how to reach me. Email, phone is all good ways. Over the weekend's fine, and really just want to have this opportunity to thank you for your potential interest and support as I go into this role, but also know that my commitment is really here with Delaware as well, and I'm just really excited about this opportunity to lead this at a national level for cooperative extension, and hope we're going to be successful with this across the country as we move forward. So let me at this point I'm going to move to our planned program. This is like the advertisements before the planned program. But I really do appreciate using these times on First Friday to talk about organizational things, as well as opportunities to introduce new innovations and to then talk about other programs and professional development. We have one other organizational update to make, and Jen, I hope you're wave at me here. We are, speaking of innovation, have lots of things going on in the state around innovation and in planning for our annual conference. And some things have happened this week, and Jen has been elected to be the lucky one to talk about this on First Friday. So Jen, let me turn it to you for a few minutes now to talk about innovation.
Sure. So we're doing great with getting our conference plans coming together, as well as the logistics for the competition. So I think it's been mentioned before that we've had 11 teams register, so we were really excited about that. And actually went and I counted up all of the people. So there's 41 participants from UD and Del State on a team, and several people are on more than one team. So that's a lot, and we were really happy with that. But because we had so much interest, we had to go and reach out and get a few extra coaches internally. So Cindy Connolly, Christy Mannering, and Adam Thomas are going to be serving as coaches. They're all on our innovation team. And then from the outside, we have Bob Birch from North Dakota State University, Brad Anderson from University of Missouri, and Daphne Richards from Texas A&M. So all three of those folks, like Michelle Wofford, have been innovation coaches at other institutions before, so they come with a little bit more experience. And so we're looking forward to meeting them. They'll physically be here with us in October, but working with the teams between now and then. All of them have two teams, except for one person only has one. And one of the other great things is that because the conference is being partially supported by eExtension, we're able to give each of our teams something called an Adobe Kickbox. So if you're like me, you've never heard of Adobe Kickbox before, but basically it's a tool that we're going to use through this coaching process. It was developed by Adobe for their staff, and it's basically a kit. It's literally a red box that has what they call a proven innovation process. So it's 6 levels that help you work through developing, defining, testing, and verifying your concept. And one of the things that we heard a couple of times while we were having our coach orientation earlier this week is that if the teams use this process and they basically kill their project, it's okay, because part of the process of innovation is having a bad idea and having your project fail. And then you go to the refine part and you keep building it. So we're not going to be requiring people to use the Adobe Kickbox, but we're really encouraging it because we think it'll help them develop a really strong idea, a strong pitch. And there'll be some funds associated with that to help them through that process. So I sent introductory emails to all of our team members, introducing them to their coaches just yesterday. We're trying to get a meeting scheduled to really bring at least our team captains, but hopefully all of the members of the competing teams, give them a little bit more of an intro to the Adobe Kickbox. That will hopefully be taking place sometime the week of August 14th. And then basically between now and the conference, we're hoping the teams will work through the Kickbox process, work with their coach, getting up with them every 2 to 3 weeks, and then we have the conference on October 19th. So things are moving along, and I'm sure it'll be here before we know it. So if there's questions on that, please let me know. You can put it in the chat box or shoot me an email. For everyone who's not on a team, we still think the conference is going to be, there's going to be lots of other opportunities for you to learn about innovation, and your colleagues who are on a team using this innovation process with the Kickbox, they're just going to get a little bit of a preview.
Great. Thanks, Jen, and thanks to the whole innovation team who is providing leadership for our annual conference this year. It proves to be an exceptionally different conference than we've ever done. Since I've been here, anyway, that time in the afternoon to go around at different stations and look at innovations and see what you might use in your program with people from across the country. We haven't done that kind of thing, and I think the keynote also will also excite us all in terms of thinking about how we do things differently. I just want to say I am thrilled with the response here in the state around our innovation teams. Just by comparison, they've done some of these, they're not doing exactly what we've done in annual conference, but they have done these innovation coaching sessions with teams and innovation projects in other states. So we're not the first ones to come up with that idea. We're just doing it a bit differently in the Delaware way, which is just typical for us. And but when Oregon State did this, I think they had 5 teams that came to play, and Ohio State had a few more than that. And I'm like, here's Delaware, one of the smaller states, and we've got 11 teams. And I am thrilled with the people who have jumped on board, said, here's an idea I'd like to try, and we'll work through this. I'm really also excited about the kickboxes because it puts some structure to this. And I think, where we're going with this innovation and how we do it, how does one do it, just having some steps to walk through to get there, I think will be really helpful. And we're pleased to be able to provide these to the teams. There's some cost with that, and there'll also be this money that comes along with it for a small amount, $50 to have you work with, but to test out some of this ideas with it. So, or to use in whatever way you need to move this forward. So just excited about the innovation. I'm excited about where we're going. And by the way, innovation fits well with the theme for the president. He has 5 themes for the University of Delaware. And one of those is fostering a spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. So my goal is around this, my wildly important goal that each of the individuals who report to the dean, we have a wildly important goal. This innovation part that we're doing is my wildly important goal. And when the dean approved my personal plan and my goals, he's very excited about this and the potential this has to bring to the president's level about what we're doing around innovation. So this all fits in great, and I think it'll be a positive thing to do as we look at that as a whole staff. So more to come on that. So thanks, Jen. I'm going to now finally, Carrie's been patiently waiting behind me here. Carrie Richards, some of you have not met. Carrie has been working with us over the past 3 years on a grant around pesticide safety education. We had a 3-year grant to look at how we do pesticide safety education in the state, how we might do it differently. We were identified as one of 25 states that really didn't have a plan in place, or the word they used is we were not robust in pesticide safety, and how could we get that way? There's a lot of history about this. I don't have to go back through the history in this organization, but it was really, the grant was an opportunity to look at what is there and what potential we have to do this, and how we might do it with the resources that we have, and also garner resources to do more with pesticide safety. And this topic is not an agriculture one, although it is an agriculture one, but it's also a topic that's important to children, youth, and families. It ties into this whole health initiative in terms of what we're doing. It's important to us in terms of the food system and what we're going to be able to do in food systems and the public's view of our food related to this. So while you may sense that this next part isn't for you, let me just say it is, because it impacts all of us in the work that we're doing as I see it, and in the conversations that we're having. So Carrie continues to join us on some continuation funds. We have some extension of that original grant, and as she is now going, her role is now moving forward to provide leadership, direct education in Delaware around pesticide safety. And there is some additional funding that we anticipate coming back that we haven't had from EPA in the past that we'll be using to implement some of these. But she has some national roles around pesticide safety as well. So we only have a portion of her time. But she has, in that small portion of her time, done a great deal. And one of the particular areas she is focused on is getting our website and information that people, the public, can see current and up to date with this. So Carrie is going to talk a little bit about what she's got and making sure that our system, our University of Delaware Cooperative Extension System, is aware of the resources that we have and the things that are available for all of us to use in addressing these issues and concerns. So Carrie, I'll give you the spot here, and turn it over to you.
Thanks. Thanks, Michelle. I'm really excited about this new opportunity for you. I know that it's probably a big picture, and you're going to focus a lot, and I think the opportunities working at the national level to bring things back to Delaware, you just don't even realize until you get there. And so that's really exciting. I'm excited for you and your staff. As Michelle said, if you're a family living agent or a 4-H agent, don't beam out because you think, oh, I don't do pesticides. What we're going to talk about in the next 30 minutes or a little less is the website that we started to develop. It was one of the things that our stakeholder team identified as, if we only have a limited amount of money, what are the priorities? and having a web page that was an opportunity not only for pesticide applicators to go to find information, but even consumers or others, homeowners that may be making applications. And pesticides is a big picture, not just in agriculture, but it's structural pest control, and a lot of other pest control in food safety and food service organizations. So it's a big picture, not just for the production of agriculture. And what we're trying to do with this website is just provide an opportunity for people to come and ask questions that they otherwise might call the Department of Ag and ask them a question, or call an extension office. And if they can go to this site first, that might help eliminate some of that traffic, but also hopefully encourage more traffic to some of the other sites. Because as I see pesticide education, it's not just about what do I spray, am I wearing gloves? If you don't identify the pests first, you don't know what pesticide to pick. And if you know, it's a whole process. And we're not trying to duplicate anyone else's efforts. We're trying to corral those efforts. So if there's one place that growers or pesticide applicators or even consumers who have questions about pesticides, and there's even some new things that we're going to show you that are opportunities that might be something that 4-H groups can do, and other things like that. It's not perfect. We are a work in progress, and constantly a work in progress. We've shown it to a couple of the extension educators and the Department of Ag folks, and gotten some great suggestions. So I'm just the brains behind the operation. Michelle, I'm going to have to ask you to help me, because I know if I try and say Nathan's last name, I'm going to completely butcher it. So Nathan Kacheski. I first have to give a big, huge shout out to Nathan, because he sent Michelle an email and said, there's this young man I was working on with an agri-science fair project, and his name is Hunter Willoughby, and he reminds me of this other young man we worked with, and if you have anything computer-wise, he loves it, and it's been the biggest gift and blessing. And I'm going to turn it over to Hunter, because he's like the Oz behind the curtain. And I say to him, Hunter, I think this should look great on the website. And he's like, okay, refresh your browser, and all of a sudden there it is. So I'm going to turn it over to Hunter so he can share his screen with you and walk you through the website.
Hello, everybody. So this is our webpage that we've been working on. And so as of right now, this is our slideshow that incorporates 2 pictures. And then from there, we have on our right side of the page, we have different highlights that we like to show everybody. So as of right now, we have the growing degree days, and we have the Guess the Pest, which is a Google form where people can submit an answer to a question. And then we also have additional sources for growing days where people can go there and get more information on whatever they need, along with plant identification that goes through Penn State's website. Then from there, we have our additional information, which right now includes 1 publication, along with UD's plant diagnostics, and then the Delaware soil testing. And then we also have the Learn More section, which also has many other different sites that people can go to for additional information, which includes upcoming events and news. As of right now, we only have 1 thing in news, but are adding more. This is just a description of the site, and it's what we're doing with it. And then on the left side are the different pages for different people who come to the site and want to learn more. So for pesticide dealers, it'll take you to the application process and what you need to do. And that's one that isn't an actual page, but for applicators, it is very similar to educators in the sense each page incorporates the highlights, the additional information, and the Learn More. And in the middle, this one is the same as the first page, but other ones are more descriptive of their actual section. And on the left side, there are custom information for what people need to look at. So on the left side, it incorporates the Department of Agriculture and different subcategories that are involved with that. And that is how it works on the entire left column. So with pest management information, there are different, there's the ornamental hotline and the weekly crop update. which gets updated once a week or as a new edition comes out. Then there are different links to help with workers and their different information that they can look for. And just then again, there's additional links where people can go to find different information that they need. Then for educators, sorry, it's taking a little bit to load.
When Hunter and I talked yesterday, while this is loading, I just want to say, well, when Hunter and I talked yesterday, he said he would take questions as we go along. So if you have a question, feel free to ask, and he will answer gladly.
So this is the educators page, which is, like I said, very similar to the applicators page. I think there's only a few minor differences, if any, and that would be on the left column.
The big difference here, Hunter, is going to be educator resources when that becomes a clickable link. For those who worked with Amy Brown, and she had a lot of presentations and other resources that were available, that's where that will be, and it'll be password protected as it was in the past.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And then we have our consumers and youth, which is different in the sense of what it incorporates in the middle as a descriptive box. And on the left side, there are there's two more links and less like worker protection standards and different other links that aren't necessarily helpful to consumers and youth.
Hunter, if you go back to consumers and youth for just a minute, please.
Yes.
Balian and Tracy, we put the garden helpline on here because that way we thought it would be a way to drive traffic to that site and to the Master Gardener folks who answer those kind of pest and pesticide related questions. And when you click on that, if you would, Hunter, it goes directly to that site. So if you all change your site at all, it automatically will update, and it also drives traffic to that site. So if you do Google Analytics at all, it will add to your analytics as far as the number of hits and things like that. And it will drive people directly to your site as opposed to coming to the pesticide safety education program for questions and answers, because that seems to be the best place for those to be directed. And if that's not correct, let us know. Okay. And if you go back, the next site that's down there, the National Pesticide Safety Information Center, that's a site that EPA funds out of the University of Oregon that is very focused on consumer aspects of pesticide use and pesticide safety and information about pesticides and those types of things. And if you go down and you look under the labels and material safety data sheets, we've taken away a couple that were on the other sites because they're not as relative to homeowners. But the most important one is that Delaware Department of Agriculture pesticide database, because even if a product is listed on the household database or any other pesticide information area, and it's not in the Delaware Department of Ag pesticide database, that means it has not been registered for use in the state of Delaware, and it is not legal to be used in the state of Delaware. So that's why that one is the most important one, but there are others that can provide information, and they're national organizations. We left the Organic Materials Review Institute because a lot of homeowners like to oftentimes use organic chemicals, and that is a list of the chemicals that are used for pest control that are considered pesticides but are approved as far as being organic and fall under those parameters of organic. Okay. Hunter, is there anything else you wanted to follow up with and show them?
So I saw in the chat that somebody asked for the Ask an Expert to be included on this page, and I was just clarifying that each of the pages do have the Ask an Expert. So if there are any questions that anybody needs a specific expert in, they can just click on this, and it'll take them to the link where they can fill out a few questions and ask a question, and then somebody will get back to them.
And I think that's linked to the National E-Extension. And I used to be I think I still am one of those Ask the Experts. When you send in your question, it goes to a group of folks who have been designated by E-Extension that will answer pesticide-related questions, and they'll get back to you from your state, from Delaware. And so I think probably I need to get on that list too. The other thing, Maria asked a question about, is there information about disposal? That's one thing that if you go back to the applicator page, Hunter, please, it is there for the applicators, but that's a good thing to add for consumers and youth. If you go to applicators, if you look under the Department of Ag Environmental Sweep, that is the applicator for those who use pesticides professionally, whether it's growers or structural pest control people. That is for that program. They fill out an inventory, but again, I'm learning Delaware, and so what we'll do is we'll look into see which solid waste authorities and those folks that have household, someone just answered me. There you go. Wooten, I'm sorry. Tracy Wooten, thank you. Delaware Solid Waste Authority is the answer for the disposal. And Tracy, I think that answers Maria's earlier question about disposal. As far as we'll get that up on this site too. Again, not to take over anyone else's responsibilities, but just we're hoping to drive people to this if they have a question. And for example, upcoming events. I know that I got a brochure about the Hort Expo next week, but it's somewhere on my desk. I don't know where it is. I can click on upcoming events and I'll find it there. Some of the other suggestions was an Ask the Expert link to Consumer News page. If there's information, we can, Tracy, if that would be good, that maybe we can direct them to the Garden Helpline, or we'll talk about that and where the best place to go. Tracy also asked, is there a definition of what a pesticide is, the difference between organic and synthetic? We have not put that on there, but that's something that we should put on the main page, and we will add right up front, just so everyone gets it and they don't have to dig down into the other pages. I believe I did that a little bit on the consumer page, where I said that a pesticide is anything that is used to kill, control, or someone manage a pest, but I didn't get into specific detail. That's really important because a lot of people say, oh, I don't use pesticides, I just use herbicides. I'm thinking, okay, that's a pesticide. So we need to do that for clarification. One of the other things, is there anything else, any other questions I missed in the chat box?
There's some good suggestions there. Thanks.
Yeah, great suggestions.
There are things that certainly will improve this. I certainly know the disposal, as I finish my roundup, finish my jug of Roundup, I don't know what to do with it. So it's good to know where that's to go. And I think that information really would be helpful for homeowners, and this can be very useful for them.
Right.
So,
And
but it does look really good, Carrie and Hunter. I'm thrilled with the amount of content that's here as a starting point, and people can continue, let me just say, people can continue to provide insight to Carrie. Carrie, do you want to talk at all about when your plans to go live with this is, and how people can get comment to you?
Yeah, we're if everyone is real comfortable, we're about ready, probably in the next week or so, to go live with it. It's always going to be a work in progress, and I will send out a follow. I'll have Allison, or I'll just reply to the email that Allison sent out, and provide my contact information and Hunter's contact information. Like I said, I'm the brains of the operation, and we make a great team because he's not really excited about looking up content and doing content. And it would take me 10 years to do what he's done in like 2 weeks time. Anything that you can suggest. One thing we are going to do in the Guess the Pest, as soon as we work with Emily and Carrie to figure out how to do it, we're going to have the graphic that is the pest of the week here, just like we have the growing degree days. And the growing degree days is something that we thought, Tracy, would be a good for everyone, because even homeowners sometimes use growing degree days to judge when they should treat for which pests and things like that. I hate it when people say, well, in Pennsylvania, because that's where I came from, and I try to do that as a minimum, but this is a really great site that Jeff Borger, this plant identification, if I call him Hector, he reminds me so much of my IT person whose name was Hector. This is something that Jeff Borger put together. It is amazing. There's broadleaf plants. If you click on that, there are a ton of broadleaf plants, and a lot of them are the same thing that you would see in Delaware. And if you scroll down to where wild carrot is, I picked that one because if you click on the wild carrot, it gives you a lot of descriptions, ID characteristics, all of those things, a lot of image galleries, and then if you would click on this, the video, I'm not sure it would show on this, but we'll try it. It's Jeff Borger narrating a pictorial about a minute and a half long.
Sorry.
I'm not sure.
Green carrot
Do you want me to play it?
Yes, please.
has a taproot. Taproots look like carrots. These things can be confused with dog fennel. It can be confused with yarrow. Refer to the other videos of those plants for better identification processes. Notice the leaf and how serrated it is. And when you crush the leaf or the root, it's very apparent that you can smell a carrot smell.
Thanks, Hunter.
Very distinguishing factor.
Yep.
When you click on that and you're not putting it through a Zoom, it's a much clearer video. And Belle-Ann and Tracy, that might be great, a resource for your Master Gardener folks. And if we go back to those main pages, as in publications right now, that's where we have the vegetable production guide, and we're going to work with a specialist to say what are the top guides and things that you think folks who are in production or in structural pest control would want to have at their fingertips, and then rather than playing hide and seek throughout the whole University of Delaware site or Department of Ag site, they can find those fairly easy with a clickable link. Again, we're not trying to take away anything from anyone else is doing. We're just trying to provide growers with one place that they can go to instead of 14 different sites, but they can get to those 14 different sites very easily if they need to. And we link directly to those sites, so if they change, our links won't break. They'll just change as those links change. So, Tracy, homeowner questions. Virginia, Tracy indicated there's a Virginia there's a publication that Tracy suggested. We'll get that on. And the best way to do this, as I said, I will provide my email information and contact information, and Hunter's also, and you can send them to either one of us, and we'll work collectively to make sure we get them up. I just know Pennsylvania, and I know some of the things that we worked very hard to develop, and I have to say part of it was we were very blessed by a lot of funding from our Department of Ag, so we were able to do videos that are vegetable pest monitoring, and a lot are the same in Delaware as they are in Pennsylvania. So we're going to link those, and hopefully as part of Michelle's innovation project, that'll give ideas for the folks in Delaware, ideas for that we can adapt and look for funding to do those things in Delaware. One last thing I will say, because I know we're getting short on time, is we are doing in November 9th, we've set the date, we're doing a respirator fit test training, and it will also include medical evaluation. It's primarily for those who have workers that need to be in compliance with the worker protection standard to now come up to the OSHA standards with respirator fit testing. But if there are others of you out there that serve other industries that rely on fit testing and those types of things, it's not specific to the ag agents. And just look for that in the next couple of weeks in an email coming out. We have Robin Toth, the director of the North Carolina Agri-Medicine Group, coming up with her crew to provide that information. We're working on a grant. I haven't even told Michelle this yet, but we're working on a grant with Connecticut and New Hampshire to get that funded, some additional funding for that through the Northeast Rural Development Program Center. So also I am, not saying this out of vanity, it's just the facts. I am, as of last Wednesday, now the president of the National Association, the American Association of Pesticide Safety Educators, APSE. And so I have a lot of contact with a lot of my colleagues nationwide, and will bring a lot of other things that I think will be helpful to you all and the stakeholders that you serve. And so it's not just a Pennsylvania, Delaware thing, but there's a lot of really great stuff out there, and I'm excited to share it with Delaware. Again, really, depending on the funding that we have, I'm about only 20% time, but usually that means about 40%. So. But I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle Hunter. Is there anything else? And I'm assuming we're going to capture all this chats somewhere. Right? But yay.
There's only a few other things on the main site, which is the resources in Spanish and then the about me and Ms. Carey. So, and then there's also this, which allows people to see plants and their pathology. That's where it pulls from. So it's the different events that are there that you can choose from. And then again, on the bottom, there's the Ask the Expert, which is on every page. And that pretty much wraps up the site of everything that's on here.
So in case you missed the email, or Hunter, if you click on About Us, I'm not good about talking about myself, but this About Us, the best thing about this About Us, that's where we will put our email addresses. So you can go right there and send us suggestions, so you don't have to look through your email to find how to reach us.
Okay.
I think that's everything. I'll turn it back over to Michelle. Dr. Rogers, it's all yours.
Great. Well, thanks, Carrie. Thank you, Hunter. You've been a blessing, and we're thrilled to have Hunter. You're at which high school?
MOT Charter.
Okay, so Hunter's up and coming web designer extraordinaire, and he's just in high school. And we are really grateful for what you've done, how it looks. We just really have benefited from your expertise, and working together with Carrie, this has been great. And I might say Carrie is actually have other funding that she's working on, that she brings to Delaware as well, that adds and makes it possible for us to get all this done in Delaware. I want to say thank you for your suggestions as well, because that's really helpful as we try and develop the page and make it for Delaware and what's needed. That consumer piece, the disposal, I think is a great idea in addition. I also thought those of you who are involved in Weekly Crop Update, as we go live with the site, it might be good to publish that we've gone live with the site, and we'll try and get our social media on top of that too, so that we can draw attention to this, and those of you who are working with that can help with that. Again, I think one of my goals is that we continue to expand our web presence and make this a site people who are looking for information, educational information, especially on a topic like this, that there is just so much misinformation, that we can be a source of positive information that people can go to. So thank you very much, Carrie. We're delighted to have you working here in Delaware. Carrie will be sitting in with the ag team and collaborating with them specifically as we move forward, and she won't be able to be at all of those things, but we'll be doing some of that. And thankful also for her presence in Delaware to do educational programming that we haven't had. And I think most of our educators are glad to have somebody else doing the safety side, and it really integrates very well with some of the production work that we're doing, and to add this piece. So this has been done in grant funds, and as we all know, grant funding really in many ways enables us to do way more than we've been able to do just on our state and federal funding that we have. So really appreciative.
One thing I will say, Hunter, if you go down to the news, there is only one thing there, but it's a very important thing. BPI Gordon just issued a nationwide recall on 2 of their products. And they were organic products that were, that in Oregon found, in the state of Oregon, they found that they also had synthetic pesticides in them. And so I don't know if it's there. If it's not there right now, knowing Hunter, it'll be there in 5 minutes. But there is a little blurb that went into the Weekly Crop Update about that, and the ornamental hotline this week. So if you have folks that you use those kind of products, it is a nationwide stop, sale, and recall, which is very, very unusual for pesticide products. There's not a health risk. It's just that it's an organic product that has synthetic chemicals mixed in with it, and so it could cause problems with organic certification. That's the big issue. And growers can take it back to their distributors and dealers for a refund.
That's a pretty important information. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. For those of you involved, you're doing some really great stuff. Really great stuff, and it's exciting to have this out and about, and to have this presence there, and it's being noticed. And somebody mentioned there, this would be great to mention in a Master Gardener Minute. Tracy, I think you mentioned that. I will be mentioning Master Gardener Minute in this week's Directors Weekly. I think I mentioned it last week, but if you haven't stopped and gone on our YouTube channel and looked at some of these things that are getting up there and out there, our Master Gardeners are doing a phenomenal job with 1-minute educational spots. And I'm hoping it's something that the rest of us can emulate and pick up and do. It is something that we will be having our innovation site on our annual conference. There'll be one of the areas talking about how you do record this and move to this. Michelle Wofford's been helping a lot with this, and so they're really exciting. And if you haven't seen them, go check them out. They're pretty interesting, and it's done by our volunteers, and they look like real pros at this. We had some wonderful volunteers and folks that have been brought in, as you all know. So. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this Friday. If you have follow-up questions, comments related to earlier's discussion or what we've just talked about, or the innovation piece, you know from this where to go. And have a great weekend. The summer is flying, so make sure you get your summer stuff in and enjoy it. We're here in the first week. So thanks and have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Hunter?
Yes.
There, you asked me yesterday about doing some video things.
Yes.
Check out those Master Gardeners 1-minute thing. 1-minute things that Michelle can do. Maybe that's something we can do for our site.
Yeah, that'd be great.